Okay, so the ESPON Bridges project, yes. In this project, we explored quite some time ago. It was a project was closed in 2019. We explored the geographic specificities around Europe, so islands, mountains, and sparsely populated areas. In this regard, the project has proposed an understanding of geographic specificities that goes beyond the rationale that's actually proposed by Article 174 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the EU, that focus on the handicaps of the supposed handicaps of these areas. The basic assumption of this project was that there is no significant pattern of island laggedness in Europe. Islands are diverse, both from an administrative point of view, as you can see on this map, and also from a socio-economic point of view. There are islands with high economic growth, strong residential economy, with well-developed tourism infrastructure, and that was already shown by a previous ESPON project, the ESPON Geospecs project. In this project, Bridges, we brought the reflection one step further, and worked on the combination of those specificities that you can see on green in the cube, major policies that you can see in purple, and what we call objective factors of constraints that affect all the territories with geographic specificities. These include specific vulnerabilities, limited access to markets that are usually located on the mainland, difficulties to provide services of general interest, insularity that does not only affect islands but also other type of territories such as mountains and sparsely populated areas. The general remoteness from cities, and the lack of critical mass. These the combination of the three faces of the cube define different ways in which policy developments are affected in territories with geographic specificities. There, it's important to highlight the fact that one of the peculiarities of islands is that European policies may affect them in a way that's different from other territories in Europe. In several cases, we could highlight that European policies in a way do not work well for islands. Just to take few examples from connected to transport and energy. We can see, for example, that in islands are very dependent from fossil fuel generation, which makes European energy policy more challenging to implement in this territory. In this case, we have a case of policy inadequacy in a way. Connection to islands to the mainlands is generally highly depending on regular regular support to public transport through contracts, public service obligation contracts. And this makes islands specifically vulnerable to the application of, for example, stricter rules on PSOs, on public service obligations. So difficulties to deal with the market failure that we observe in this case. So in a number of situations, a number of those situations are actually connected to climate resilience perspectives for islands. So let's go to climate challenge specifics. Islands are facing specific challenges towards adaptation. The study has shown the type of vulnerability that islands are facing. We had in the Bridges study 12 case studies all over Europe, and 3 of those were actually crossing islands and climate change. In the case of East Iceland, the Wadden Islands that are shared by Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands, and in the North Aegean Islands. And as you can see, most of these the challenges that these islands are facing, how they are impacted by climate change, are related to sea level rise, of course, to water supply issues, to threats on biodiversity, and change in landscape. All islands that we explored in the project have now a climate change adaptation strategy. For example, in the case of the North Aegean Islands, a specific adaptation plan is in place since 2019 that's directly connected to the climate change adaptation strategy set up by the Greek authorities since 2016. However, the project has shown that islands are facing specific issues to adapt their regional planning systems and practices to the likely consequences of climate change. Main reasons for that are those five set of challenges that are presented on this slide. First challenge is that there's a lot of uncertainties on the extent and magnitude of changes that are to be expected from climate change. That's true for precipitation, that's true for sea level rise, that's true for extreme events. There are complex interactions between climate systems and socioeconomic systems that create those uncertainties. Therefore, it's essential in this regard that projects on climate change adaptation share their results, as what can be done on the Climate Adapt platform, for example, that has been set up by the European Commission and the EEA. And also that's important that to take the best advantage of the transnational strategies and the transnational projects that are in place for sharing analytical results of climate change adaptation. Second set of challenge, there's a need for effective multi-level governance to be developed and for implementing adaptation strategy. Here we found a very good example, actually, in the Wadden Sea, where the climate change adaptation strategy is implemented through a three-tier governance structure with representatives from the national government that set the agenda, set the focus every four years, implemented by a climate task group on a day-to-day basis, with the involvement of what they call the Wadden Seas board that include representatives from both local regional authorities, NGOs, and civil society organization and university research centers. Third set of challenge, the need for adequate capacities in regional and local administration. There, it's important for LRAs to lean on networks that can provide relevant supports, such as the CPMR for the representative organizations, such as CPMR or NGOs. A lot of NGOs are contributing to the setting up the climate change adaptation strategies. It's important also for EU funds to support large networking projects on adaptation. Then there's a fourth challenge, the lack of accessible and suitable information through portals, especially when those portals are only in English. So it's important for national governments, national authorities to set up portals in national language in this regard. And there's a lack of financial resources, both for planning and action. So in this regard, it's important for adaptation needs to be included as an objective for all EU funds. That's what we highlighted in the study. As you can see, ESPON Bridges has mostly been focused on climate change adaptation, but it's in the field actually of climate change mitigation measures that we saw more opportunities to emerge in the recent years. Islands in this regard have opportunities to become test beds for climate neutrality. And that's the last main part here. Here I will present a few examples that we did not directly develop in the study, but that can introduce that for which the lessons learned are quite similar to what we've shown in the study. In the recent years, there are a number of islands that have set goals towards climate neutrality, strong cuts in greenhouse gas emission. And here are a few examples. Bornholm in Denmark that set up a strategy towards climate neutrality since 2008, aiming at reaching carbon neutrality and phasing out fossil fuels by 2025, based on an electric energy mix of wind, solar, and biomass. We found also two interesting recent examples in Greece, Astipalaya Island, that's branding itself as the smart sustainable island, or the electric island, is set to move to the island towards electric mobility, including public-private shared transport system. Transport system. That's an initiative that started this year, and that's based on the cooperation of a famous German car company and the Greek government. And it's island that is aiming at energy self-sufficiency with an innovative system based on high batteries recharged by wind turbine solar panel. From these examples and the examples that we developed also in the bridges study, is that insularity may create opportunities for turning remoteness or vulnerability into autonomy for energy provision. Energy planning, in this sense, the analysis of needs and resources, may be easier to implement and generate more benefits in islands, because we are facing almost closed energy system where needs and resources can be assessed quite precisely. There are, but these initiatives to make meaningful steps towards CO2 reduction or renewable energy require funding and knowledge and political momentum, and that's what's usually missing. And that's the observation that triggered actually the launch of the initiative, the Clean Energy for EU Islands initiative, that's targeting specifically islands and their and the objective factors of constraints that they are facing. In 2017, there has been a political declaration on clean energy for EU islands that has been signed by the European Commission and by 14 member states that felt concerned by the issue of energy transition in islands, and that aim at making Europe's highlands communities innovation leaders for clean energy transition in Europe. In 2018, a secretariat was created that provides services to island communities. More specifically, a platform of exchange of best practices for island stakeholders, and capacity building and advisory service. The initiative covers both the energy issue, so production, efficiency, heating and cooling, and the transport issue. It provides a combination of top-down and bottom-up initiative that aims at positioning islands at the forefront of clean energy transition, and in this sense, it helps tackling the specific challenges that islands are confronted to in this regard. My conclusion here, ESPON Bridges has highlighted the objective factors of constraints that islands are facing when dealing with complex issues, such complex issues as climate change adaptation and energy transition. Opportunities are numerous in this regard to make islands more climate resilient and relying on renewable energies. And in this sense, islands have the potential to make both a clear contribution to climate change mitigation, as was shown in the last part, but also to European cohesion as a whole. And that's something I wanted to highlight it here. Thank you.